We've had a couple of minutes now to kind of think about what we just saw. Um, how would you break down this result, this win?
Yeah, got the job done.
Mhm.
So mission, the group stage, first job, first step taken care of. Can't take that away from this
Is,
group.
is that the only
They
positive of the night?
Well, it's a positive for sure. I think we hell we had fans going like they're going to get grouped. You know what I mean? Like that's where the mindset was. I don't know if anyone thought about that, but that's how they were looking at this group. Um, let's not forget, right? This is not the first group. It's a bunch of guys trying to make this team, but they're here to win a tournament. They're here to
Mhm.
to try and get to a final and win something. I mean, that's always got to be the mission in the Gold Cup, and it was. I forget how many Gold Cups ago, 2 or 3, where we actually won this Gold Cup with what I think is a lesser roster than this one. So it's not as if it's mission impossible. Um, has it been great? No. Has there been more habitual stuff happening like that we're seeing trends and things like that? I think so. Yeah, we're lacking speed on the outside. We're lacking true wingers, which again I said during the game that I didn't think it was going to hurt us this much, but it does hurt us. But we found ways now to win 3 games. They gave what did we score 8 goals? You were reading the numbers off before, and I think this was the only one we gave up. So yeah, I mean there's still some positives to look at. You can't make the argument that like I see people, oh, this team will never be able to compete, but then you go 3 games and you don't give them any credit for it. Like, okay, you think they stink, but they just won 3 games stinking, if you will, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
have it both ways. For Pochettino, I think he's had a clear look at a bunch of guys. I think we're getting the sense, and again, we didn't talk to him. We're getting the sense, though, he wants a guy like Agyemang. He wants a guy like Freeman. He wants a guy like even a Sebastian Berhalter who doesn't play tonight, who was on a yellow card. Maybe that's why. I think we're going to get a better sense, Charlie, of who his guys are for this camp in this next game, right? With this next lineup.
Right. So when I'm looking at this group now, because we can finally say we've wrapped up group phase play, um, Pochettino primarily stuck with a starting 11 that he felt most confident in, or I don't know if he thought, all right, this is my first choice. I'm going with them based off of training or based off of performances. But tonight he made 4 changes. I see one of the comments from Martin O'Malley. He said, "Good first round, good roster, good coaching." I think we've all been. I would say we've done a pretty good job of analyzing Pochettino's decision making, whether it's roster selections, whether it's tactics, whether it's substitutions, the identity. We've been critical at times, and I think that's well deserved given the expectations with that Pochettino brings coming into this job. That it wasn't always going to say no matter what happens, he's off the clock because it's Pochettino. Like he's not ever he doesn't have to be ever judged for how this team plays, right? So in saying that, do you think that he did do a good job, the best job that we've seen so far in terms of setting up the team,
Well,
of coaching, of substitutions, of tactics?
Well, I mean, we're looking at this as I hate saying B team or C team, but I think that the listeners and the viewers know right what we're talking about. We're looking at this is not our first team, and we're complaining about the fact that we have no wingers, and we got guys that are hurt that we can't replace now. We have one guy basically that he's playing as the number 9, and he did all of this and we scored all of these negatives and we scored 8 goals and gave up 1. Like you got to give credit someplace,
Yep.
right? Like you can't just everything just can't be a negative because you're down on the national team. Yeah, should we have a standard? My standard for the Gold Cup, I said this in the beginning, I said this when this competition came out, my standard for the Gold Cup is always to win the Gold Cup, right?
And
That's it.
it always has been.
Yeah, it's never changed. That doesn't mean we don't analyze the game or we talk about players. My standard is we're here to win the Gold Cup. That's what I want to see from this team. For
Mhm.
me, anything short of winning the Gold Cup, I would look at as a failure in this thing. But in potentially failing to do that, there are going to be some wins in this thing. I still think I still think Sebastian Berhalter is a positive right now for this
Yep.
group. I'm going to guess we're going to find out he didn't play because because he's on the yellow card. I'm I think we're going to get a real idea of these. Look, we know he likes Tillman, we know he likes Ream, he likes Richards, he likes Matt Freese, Malik Tillman. It's these other guys I want to get a feel for. Who does Pochettino like? Is it Luca Del Torre? Is it Johnny? Or is it Sebastian Berhalter? I think that's a big decision. Is it Arston or is it John Tolkien now? I think that's a big decision. I'm guessing Freeman is gonna run this thing out, right? Is gonna be the guy on the right side. Okay, is it Jack McGlynn? Is it Quinn Sullivan? Is it Diego Luna? Is it Brendan Aronson? Like, I think we're gonna get some ideas when we see the starting lineup. If someone can confirm, I think the yellow cards don't matter, right? After this, they get eliminated, or is it after the next?
I think
round?
it's after the quarterfinal.
So it wouldn't
next
matter
round.
if they get erased, right?
Yeah.
So next one. So thank you guys. So it wouldn't matter anyway if like a Berhalter picked up a yellow card in the next game. It's after the quarter, so it would be erased anyway. So those don't matter. So even more so, Charlie, for me, we're gonna find out in those I'm gonna call them critical positions, who Pochettino likes, in my opinion.
Well, this is the thing. When I look at what Andus Brown said in the comments, and he said essentially Pochettino's still trying to figure out this team. He doesn't have all the pieces yet. He's still, trying to figure out. I need to find answers with this incomplete info. We all have to wait until we see the complete roster at his disposal. So I think he's still trying to figure out who are my best players, who can I count on, who has potential. I think Patrick Agyemang is a perfect example of somebody who he's saying, I'm intrigued by him. I like a lot of the things that he does. He's a handful. Can I get him up to speed? I'm going to keep pushing him. Let's see if I can break him or if I can hit his limit. And it seems to me he's still progressing. So in Pochettino's way, he got a goal in the first game, as unlikely as it was. I mean, it was a ricochet, but they all count. He put himself in that position, and then he gets his goal tonight, a clean goal, rounding the keeper. He caused a lot of problems. I think he could be used actually more often. But that's a guy that I think Pochettino is looking at and saying, I'm gonna keep playing him because he's delivering. 5 goals and 9 international appearances is something not to joke around with. Chris Richards has stepped up, in my opinion, in this competition, playing 100%. Balls forward, not taking the safe route, can play the pinpoint ball in between the lines in tight narrow spaces. So I really like what I've seen from Richards. I think Malik Tillman, same player, again, has taken a step forward. We've been waiting for him to start to show some things. Tonight he looked a little sluggish. I'm not gonna lie. His legs looked a little bit heavy. He looked like he had been playing his third match in a group stage, but still made some good moments. Should have finished a couple of more chances, but a great first goal. So those two players have really stood out for me. Freeman is another interesting one. He's obviously going to continue to play out. I still think he's caught in, I'm young, I'm going to defer. We've all had those moments when a young player gets into a squad and he's always deferring to a bigger personality. I saw a couple of times where he could have played a forward pass or he could have taken a chance and he opted to play to Tyler Adams. And that's just instinctive in a young player to say, I want these guys to enjoy me on the pitch, like me, know that I'll find them, build up the confidence in the relationship between me and some of the players. That's normal. So he wasn't playing some of the balls that we've seen him play when he's playing with Orlando. Quinn Sullivan and Brendan Aronson just didn't do it enough to be in the conversation for starters in this competition down the line. So for me, it's Della Torre was the one that you saw. Okay, he plays a lot of sideways passes. He finds good spots. He gets on the ball, but then it feels like, with that opportunity, the play's dead. It's then all of a sudden it's like, oh, slow down, sideways, and then we got to restart all over again of finding that gap, finding that player in a good spot. So then you're looking at, is it Berhalter or, and then Cardoso for me again didn't look sharp. I think he's still having a tough time finding his rhythm and finding his role within this team. So Tony, I'm with you. I think there's two clear players who have stood out in Richards and Tillman, and there's 3 question marks for me in terms of Sullivan, Aronson, and Delatorre, who fill those roles.
Guys are looking to start in the World Cup, Charlie. Those guys are trying to establish themselves as starters. I think they're the only 2 that are. Let me just make sure I don't speak out of line. We know Tyler Adams, and he was actually quiet tonight. Tyler Adams got that early yellow card, but had a quiet night. But again, as a defensive midfielder, sometimes you have a quiet night with the ball and in tackles because you're cutting down lanes and no one's coming your way. So there's a different way to look at it. But so Richards and Tillman for me are the guys that are they're fighting for a first 11 spot in the group. The rest are fighting to make the team, right? And have some kind of impact in the game for Pochettino. But yeah, I'm with you. Those are the 2 guys.
So we want to talk about the goal right now. And I'm not talking about Malik Tillman's goal. I'm talking about the Matt Freese error. The ball in from Tim Ream to the left foot of Matt Freese, which is his weaker foot, of course. And instead of clearing it, and the ball was obviously not hit in the most delicate way, he tries to play between a really tight window to find a Tolkien that was running towards the sideline, so he wasn't even in the right position to receive the ball. It scuffs off his foot right to the Haitian attacker who finishes it. So it feels, I know it's easy to say, okay, well, Matt Turner has done that in the past, and then he lost his spot. I don't think this is a case where Matt Freese is going to lose his spot. I think Pochettino made his decision. He's going to ride with Matt Freese for the rest of the tournament, just based on merit of playing every week for his club and form and sharpness. But after this competition is done with, where does that leave Matt Freese? Where do you think, now that we've seen that type of error, with all the goalkeepers, how do you feel about the goalkeeper situation? How do you feel about Matt Freese?
Yeah, look, I still think that when they look at Matt Freese, they don't look at Matt Freese as a guy who is bad with his feet or is shaky with his feet. They're going to look at him as a guy who made a big mistake tonight with his feet. That doesn't mean you're bad with your feet, right? And I think that's part of the thing that they like about him. I see that as his spot in danger, right? No, it's not. The answer is simply no, it's not. They've made the decision. Pochettino talked about it. He told us in the press conference, he had a conversation with Matt Turner. He wasn't happy about it, but he needs to be playing. And we're not seeing training every day, but I don't think his spot is in question. I already wrote my lineup down. I have when we get to it, I have one question mark in the lineup, and I'll throw it at you after. But as far as Matt Freese, to answer the question, simply for me, no.
Simple as that. He's set in stone in terms of best 11 for the rest of the way.
Well, think about it, Charlie. Are you going to put Matt Turner in right now?
No.
This game? You've told us with your decision that he's not the number one guy. Now you told this other guy that he's your number one guy for the competition, and he makes one mistake, a big mistake. I get it, but he makes a mistake, and now you're going to put him on the bench. Right. So you got a guy who's not confident, clearly, that's already been benched, who's ticked off, not playing well, and then you're going to kill the confidence of the guy that you just told, no, this is the time you, just like Mauricio Pochettino showed Matt Turner confidence after Panama, right? After giving up the goal against Panama, he's going to show Matt Freese, in my opinion, confidence now. right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Uh,
you can't look, Matt, you can't do it. Charlie, you can't miss that goal, but you're my guy, right? Next time you got to go score it.
100%, Tony. And I think of players like Alisson and Ederson who make these mistakes too. I mean, we've seen the
Oh,
best keepers in the
100%.
world, right? But they are also proven, right, at the highest level. Turner Freese is not proven yet. Obviously, he's on his way to trying to make that happen. How much do you put on Freese in this situation of just saying Turner to Ream away? Don't play it back to me versus, hey, I just got to clear this thing and not play between the lines or try and play this cute pass.
Charlie, we haven't seen Matt Freese do much in this tournament. When we
Right.
get to Costa Rica, if we get to Mexico, if we get to Canada, that's where we're going to see Matt Freese do some work or not.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if I'm a keeper, I'm saying away. Don't even from that distance. Don't try and put me under fire. But
Yeah.
hey, that's a
They'll
whole
have that
nother
discussion.
conversation.
They'll talk
Yeah,
about that.
we're gonna do some player ratings. We're gonna start back to front. And for everybody who doesn't know, these are how we have decided the tier. So we have red dot. That's the bottom. That's no bueno, as Tony would say. No bueno. If you are red dot, that's the worst rating you can get.
All one word,
On
by
the
the way.
yeah. Poor to average. We say bad to average. I don't know where poor to average came. Average to good, good to great, and green dot. Green dot is you were superb. I'm gonna go with like 8.5 to 10. So we're gonna start with Matt Freese. Tony, since you're the goalkeeper, resident goalkeeper, the Hall of Famer, give us your grading system for our Matt Freese.
Yeah, I'm going to go average to good. Responded after the mistake, which is big for me. Two plays that he made. Yeah, I mean, still needs to be better on the day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think you're being so generous. I think you're being really because we can talk about the bounce back, but there's sometimes where mistakes are so
yeah,
profound
but
that
it didn't end up hurting him tonight.
right.
They lose
Yeah.
the game, it could be
Fair,
their
fair,
team bailed them out.
fair point.
Um,
I
yeah,
still think poor to average, as in he could still be average, but he's on the lower side given because average to good means he was here to there. I think he was closer, maybe closer to average, but
yeah.
poor to
I
average.
look at his reaction more. You guys are gonna focus in on one thing. It's well, I'll be interested to see then how you go. I won't tell you, but when you get there, I'll see how you rate one thing.
Okay, I
But
like
go ahead.
I like that. Okay, so we're going with Freeze average to
Who's
good.
next?
All right, Alex Freeman at right back. Tones. I'm gonna
Can't,
I'm gonna say
one duels were good.
average to good. Average to
Yeah,
good for me for Alex
the one.
Freeman.
Yeah, I don't remember. Did he
Um,
make a mistake tonight at all? I can't remember a mistake.
no,
Um,
I
I
can't.
mean, I'm sure there's one in there somewhere, but not that one that sticks out. That's for sure.
Just the foul. When you're talking
Oh, the
about
foul at the top of the box.
yeah,
Yeah, at the
yeah.
end. Yeah,
Against
yeah,
the Holland, a Brazil
yeah.
and Argentina,
Look,
that's costly, right?
boy,
France,
if you guys are going to judge like that, then we may as well put everybody a red dot if that's what it is.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
all right,
yeah, it's just
I'm just
like
throwing out
you're asking. I
circumstantial
know,
stuff.
no, I know. I see some of the comments. I'm like, you're asking for perfection at that point for
Yeah,
every play in the game.
yeah,
It's not what the sport is. The sport is a turnover sport. And it's a turnover sport, and that's what happens. It's a transition sport, back and forth. Ball turns over, 100 times a game. But yeah.
All right,
I'm good with average to good there.
give me Chris Richards.
I liked his passing tonight. I like the fact that he split a couple people. I'm trying to get the first two games out of my head and rate him just on this game. I mean, I hate the fact that it's good to great because I don't think it was great from him, but that's where I have to put him. I have to put him above the two guys that
Yeah,
average
for
to good.
sure. For
Yeah,
sure, it's good to great. No
yeah,
doubt. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, I The only thing that was preventing him from green dot is some of the set pieces that we saw. him get on the end of, he didn't even put them on goal. You know, those are
Right.
that's where I'm like, I'm judging Chris Richards. Big step forward with his distribution. I loved what I saw from him and finding the feet of players between the lines, breaking, you know, a line of 4 players with one pass. Absolutely loved it. But then it's like, don't forget how you got on the score sheet in that second game against Saudi Arabia, capitalizing on those set pieces. A couple of corner kicks found his head, and he wasn't able to put it on goal or make the most of it. So good to great. Feels good with him. Tim Ream.
I got to put him in the same category as Chris Richards. I think I'm trying to think of a.
I'm going average to good there.
How? Like for what?
He
did the same exact thing Chris Richards did tonight.
The play to Matt Freese, the pass to Matt Freese. There were a couple of times where he was beat. He lost possession.
You know what? Yeah, you sold me. Average to good. The play. Yeah. I don't like to butt that ball back to the goalkeeper. Yeah, average to good.
Average to good. Okay, John Tolkien.
I mean, poor to average.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't.
That's where Matt Freese should have been, but okay, it's fine. We'll leave him there. Goalkeeper. All right, so now we're gonna go Tyler
You're asking
Adams.
me the questions.
No, I'm just asking.
Put Matt Freese where you want.
Hey, no. Tyler Adams.
I
didn't think he had a good game. By his standards, he was not where he needed to be. He had the great pass to Tillman, who missed it with the lob. He played some balls forward, but for Adams, you know, not good to great. I'd say average to good.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, De La Torre.
Poor to average for me today.
Yep, same. I'm with you. Not much more to say. A lot of sideways, a lot of killing momentum. Lost the ball a couple times. Okay, let's go right to Quinn Sullivan.
Poor to average.
Yep. He was teetering with red dot, but poor to average is where he'll go. Malik Tillman.
Malik Tillman's with Chris Richards for me.
Yep. Yeah. With you.
We're finally starting to get somebody told us on the show, like he was like its personality has to grow into the team and all of that. I forget who it was, but he was, we're seeing it.
We're going to go right to Brennan Aronson.
Poor to average.
Spot on with you there. Not a good night from him. Nearly red dot given what he can do as well. All right, Patrick Agyemang.
Go ahead, Charlie. What do you got?
Good to great. Got the game winner. Stuck with it. Hold up play. Run the channels. Could have been used a lot more. Could have been more clinical. But in the end, you're graded on impact. What greater impact than scoring the winning goal? And he did much more than that. But you have to say good to great. That's that for me. There are a lot more positives in his game than negatives today.
And this you feel this way about him than the same way I feel about goalkeepers, right? And how you react. That's kind of why I let you have this one. I be honest, I would put him here too. Probably more average to good than good to great, right?
Yeah.
But here's my point for if you told me we're playing, we think we're playing Costa Rica, it doesn't matter. Next round, if I told you we're gonna win the game 1-0.
Yep.
Patrick Agyemang is gonna be awful, terrible, worst game he ever played.
Yeah.
And he scores in the 89th minute. Right? Would you take it?
Average to good.
No, would you take it
though? Yeah, I'd take it.
Of course you would.
You'd be a fool not to take it.
Yeah, right. So it's a tricky position. I know we want to bash him for his deficiencies, but let's also give him credit for what he does.
I'm gonna be honest. I have a soft spot for him, and I do what I say. He played fantastic. No, I don't think he did at all, but he made a lot of positives. And I think similar to what you feel about Freese, although he didn't make an error that that led to something, or there wasn't like a big negative aspect of
Well, he
like
missed the breakaway. That if he scores the breakaway early in the
yeah,
game, the whole game can change, right? So,
yeah.
but he's a handful, man.
Yeah. Yes, he causes a lot of problems. And so I think given
Oh,
that
damn!
he's
Like,
closer to good.
the
He's
dungeon
clo-
went out in here. I think. Oh,
there you go.
the
He's
dungeon. I don't know if you saw the lights go out.
he's closer to good, but I'm given his work ethic and scoring the game winner, I'm going good to great. I just want to put him in that positive light. Okay. We going Diego Luna off the bench.
Tough. The guys off the bench, although he was a bit of a spark for them. Came
Yeah.
in with a little bit of energy. I'm going to go average to good.
Okay. I think he found it tough to find the game. I would, if you said Porter average, I would have said fine too. But you know, he's trying at least. Then we're going Jack McGlynn.
There's really no rating. Where do we go for the no rating? It's none of them for me. Like I
Yeah.
can't put him anywhere. There was nothing that happened in the game.
He didn't do anything that changed the game though. And as a substitute, you gotta your sole role is to change.
Just leave him down there. Leave him down there.
Yeah. If you have to put him, I'm gonna put him Porter average. So
Yeah.
let me
All right,
be the one.
I'm with that.
Porter average. Okay. Cardoso.
Same thing then.
Porter
These
average.
guys,
Brian White, I'd go red dot.
yeah, he had a couple tough touches.
Red
Brian
dot.
White.
And kind of proved that he is just there based on his merit within Major League Soccer, his form, good, hardworking, probably a great in training. You know, someone who's putting in the work ethic, but clearly not at the level. And this is the Gold Cup, so you know, I don't want to be too ruthless or critical or whatever, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then Paxton Aronson.
I actually thought he did his role perfectly. He went in as a second number 9. He was in the game to chase people around. He wasn't in there to make the game. He was in there to put pressure on people. He held the ball up a couple times, connected a couple passes. I'm going to go average to good for his short performance. I think he did exactly what he was asked to do.
I'm with you. Oh, I'm seeing some of the comments right here. A stray catnip. Red dot. How am I getting a red dot for this? Change Tillman to green dot, maybe. Yeah, we see we got red dot for stray catnip. Come on. I feel like we were pretty spot on with this. You know, maybe Freese could go down.
Change Tillman to red dot. Is that what you're arguing about? Okay, look, guys, put Tillman a green dot. Is that what we want to do? You got to put Richards there too, because they were equally as good. So we're saying they had unbelievable games.
They're perfect. You're damn near perfect. I would not say they're green dots. If Tillman finishes that lob, that might be all he needs.
We got to have a green dot, we got to have a little bit.
You can't be getting green dots in a 2-1 win over Haiti and you know, not finishing some of these big chances. Yeah, he was good. He was good.
Tillman did score a goal. So Patrick Agyemang scored a goal too. We put him at green dot too. Then if that's like I don't get it.
Yeah,
green dots in this game.
No, there's no green dots in this game. Come on. But hey, keep those comments coming out. I'm feeding off this energy. We got for the knockout rounds. You all better keep up the same energy. But I like it. No,
listen,
green dots.
You guys have any problem with this? You hit me up at Charlie Davies, and I'll get you right back.
For people talking about Patrick Agyemang, you know, he's a late bloomer, late developer, coming into the national team, 5 international goals and 9 appearances. That's not a fluke. Obviously, he's a little raw, but Pochettino believes in him. Obviously, sees potential and is trying to push him. He's a guy, and Tony, tell me if you agree with it. When we're talking about similar players, player profile, one player that comes to mind in terms of making a difference, being someone so different, drastically different than the rest of the strikers that we have, is Wout Weghorst. Tell me that's not a great comparison of someone who comes in the 78th minute. We're talking about, this is obviously a little bit higher level, but and we're trying to compare a player that he could be like. Come in the 78th minute against an Argentina, right? They need 2 goals. He scores in the 83rd and 90 plus 90. I think it was 11 minutes into the added time, and to make it 2-2. But he came in from Memphis Depay. Think about the difference between those two players, and a Balogun versus an Agyemang, or even a Pepe versus an Agyemang. The difference between the players, but he's such a change of pace and tough to deal with, and has the range, kind of like about Veghorst, that maybe that's the comparison I'm trying to give you when we're thinking about different types of player profiles.
Look, for me, if he makes this team a year from now, it's to be a 15, 20-minute guy at the end of a game that suits what his quality.
Yes.
That's who he is for me. He's not a
Yep.
starter on this team. And I think that's what Pochettino's trying to figure out.
100%. So let's get our special guest, Paul Tenorio, who was there live on the scene. Got to see the reactions post-game. Paul, tell me I'm wrong. Haiti was an incredible opponent. The best I've ever seen Haiti play. Organized, well-balanced, caused some problems. How did the crowd feel about this game, and how did Pochettino seem to feel about this game?
Yeah, I think Pochettino was relatively pleased with getting the result and winning the group and getting out of there. You know, it was kind of mission accomplished. Certainly, I think he felt like they should have been a little bit more aggressive for longer stretches of the game. They didn't take their chances as well as they could have, and he brought that up. He felt like they should have had more goals. They should have been a little bit more attack-minded. And yeah, I thought the crowd was relatively into it, considering that there were some stretches of the game where I think the U.S. was just kind of content to pass the ball around, kind of look for the perfect pass instead of being a little bit more aggressive. But I thought, 20 minutes into the second half, Chris Richards started to play some forward-looking passes. They started to get a little bit more vertical, and that's what changed the game a little bit and allowed the U.S. to play a little bit more aggressively.
Paul,
go
ahead, Tony.
Good. Yeah, when you look at this, we said at halftime, Paul, and I know you're going to have to run here quickly to get some players, but they needed to pick up the pace of the game, and it looked like that was the message at halftime.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like, look, let's take some chances here. Let's not be so conservative. Go get the win. And, it took a while even in the second half, though. They were still kind of looking for the perfect pass. They were playing out wide a lot to the fullbacks again. And, that's kind of the easy space. Haiti was staying compact. They had their lines. They were looking tight centrally. And the players were showing. They were looking for the ball centrally. Like Malik Tillman, there were a couple times he was in the pocket and he was there. You have to trust that if you're going to play a good player like Malik Tillman in those spaces, he's going to be able to deal with the defenders around him. Like, there has to be that level of trust. Luca De La Torre, too, was looking for that ball. It wasn't coming enough. And then finally you saw, I think, a lot more of the U.S. players saying, okay, if you're not comfortable playing me to my feet in the pockets, I'm going to start opening my body up and looking for that little ball chipped in over the top. And I think that's, Chris Richards played a ball into feet a couple times, played a couple balls over the top, and that started to open things up. But maybe some lessons there for some of the U.S. players. I don't think it's going to be the same type of game, though, in the knockouts against Costa Rica or Mexico. I think you're going to need to be a little bit more aggressive from the jump in that game.
Paul, very mindful of your time. Thank you for joining us and giving us some insight since you're live. Go interview those players. See who's feeling that result. Who's 3 wins, 3 games. Is that good? The last 2 maybe not as a good of a feeling as they had after that first game. But hey, on to the knockout rounds.
Hey, the boys got a day off, I think, tomorrow. So I think that's why everyone showered so quickly and ready to get through the mix zone. That well deserved day off after the big stage.
Hey, I've been there before.
No doubt. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's good to see you guys.
See you, man.
Yeah, good to see you, Paul. Yeah, it feels like Pochettino is also aware that this is a team, even if 4 changes are made, that you have a convincing win. Maybe not like we saw against Trinidad in the first game, but more along the lines of, we got a couple of goals. We've created a lot of chances. We didn't concede too many plays in our own defensive area, and it feels like we gave them chances. We allowed them to stay close, and because they're not a Mexico, forget the Frances, the Germanys, the Brazils, the Argentinas, the Colombias of the world. They're not even a Canada or a Mexico, and we created enough chances. you give that many chances to top teams, the game looks completely different. So
Yeah.
I think he's cognizant of the fact that, okay, we've got 3 wins out of 3 games, but this was not a good performance.
Yeah, I mean, Paul said it, right? And we talked about it. It's like mission accomplished, right? You went there, you wanted to finish first in the group, you get yourself a win, and now you get a day off, and you sit tonight and you watch your next opponent, right? Are there things to correct? Yeah, there's been things the entire tournament. Maybe I live in a different space where in my head I'm talking about where I don't want to say I lowered the expectations. I kind of know the expectations from seeing all of these guys week to week and then putting them all together for a tournament like this. You know, I look at improvement in some guys, and I'm trying to get in Mauricio Pochettino's head on where he's going with some of these players, because I still don't know that we've had leading into this a clear idea of what kind of players Pochettino likes, what he's asking from his players. We're starting to see some trends like this building out of the back with 3. And it's been the right-sided guy that's been the third guy in just about every game that we've done this. Again, this might change when Dest is available, or does he play higher up the field? But we're starting to see how he wants to play and how he's building this group. And he's not afraid to go to a 4-4-2. I think that's 2 games out of the 3 that he went to that in the end. So we're starting to see some trends from Pochettino. But again, the roster has to be filled out. And no, for the Euro snobs, it's not going to be all European-based players. They're not all better than every guy that's here. Someone's going to make the roster. Somebody's going to be hot at some point. And unfortunately, somebody's going to be hurt when this roster comes out, right? So he's got to get an idea of all of these guys. And I think this is probably a pretty important – in the end, I think we're going to look at this as a pretty important step for Mauricio Pochettino in building this team this month right here.
So,
even with all the crap that's gone on.
Of the 4 new changes, who made the biggest impact?
So those
I guess that's pretty easy because it was Tolkien, Adams, Aronson, and Sullivan. So let's go with Tolkien, Aronson, and Sullivan. 3, I guess, unproven guys here under Pochettino. Which of the 3?
Charlie, I don't know that any of them really. Now, so ask me the question again, so I answer it properly.
Yeah.
Which one
did enough to get more minutes in this tournament? Which one impressed the most of the 3?
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
Which one impressed the most of the 3?
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone's earned more minutes in this one. I'd say the most active, although a lot didn't come off, was Quinn Sullivan for me. He had the ball the most. Tolkien, I want to give Tolkien a little bit of benefit of the doubt because he was off for a month before this, and he's nothing. So you want to hear what some would get. Be curious to hear the guys elaborate on what Tolkien did poorly. I want to know one thing he did well in the game. He mistrapped. He mistrapped, I don't know, 10 balls in this game. He fought the whole game. But I mean, what did he do in the end? Didn't get to the end line. An assist on the last goal. So we gave him props for that. But Arston plays that same ball. So if you're asking me which guy moved up the chart, I don't know that he moved up the chart. Well, you didn't ask that. You said which guy earned more. Okay, so he's not moving up the chart, so he didn't earn more minutes. So the answer's still the same.
Yeah.
For me.
So who do you think steps in for? Do you think Del Torre stays at that center mid position, or do you think Berhalter or Cardoso?
I got my lineup written for the next game.
Oh, let's hear.
One question mark. Yeah, I have one question mark, and I'll go there first. It's Arston and Tolkien. I still think Arston gets the nod in that game. So Freese, Arston, Ream, Richards, Freeman, no change there. Tyler, Sebastian Berhalter, Luna, Tillman, McGlynn, Agyemang.
Yep. So you're convinced on McGlynn?
I'm convinced that I'm not convinced on McGlynn. I'm convinced that McGlynn. You're trying to twist my words. I'm convinced that McGlynn has done more than Quinn Sullivan has to get the nod in the quarterfinals.
Yes. No, you're good.
I like McGlynn, by the way. I just think he's out of position here. Like this,
I've said McGlynn is great when you give him time and space, but he's not beating you down the line. He's not beating you with pace. He's always going to come inside, and it's not quick.
Which, by the way, let's give him credit, right? Yeah. He's playing in a position that is really in his career is never going to be his position, right? Winger is never going to be his position. He's being asked to do something, and he's doing it to the best that he can do it. So we got to give him a little bit of credit for that.
I give him props. I mean, it's not easy to do that at the international level. So how far can this team go now that we're through the group and into the knockout stage? Because it looks like it's going to be Costa Rica. It could be Mexico. Imagine Costa Rica though, and then most likely Canada, and then we get past that, most likely Mexico. Given that those are the challenges, where do you see this team?
I don't see that this team gets past Mexico or Canada.
Right.
This group.
Yep.
I hope I'm wrong. So if they end up with Mexico in the next round, I don't see them getting past that. If it's Costa Rica, they get past Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm. Even that'll be a challenge.
Yeah.
That'll be a tough challenge. But I see them also losing to either Mexico or Canada. So the semifinals is typically where this team they don't get past that, given how they've struggled against Saudi Arabia and now with Haiti. This one was really surprising. I thought Saudi Arabia was going to be the toughest test of the three because they just sat back. They made it defensive. I thought they'd be a little bit more adventurous going forward. They weren't. But here, Haiti outplayed us in some ways.
I see this comment. You can't be that definite against Costa Rica. No, I'm not definite about anything with this group, but so there is no definite in the game ever, no matter what. I'm not definite about it, but the question is, I still think they get by Costa Rica.
Yeah, I think they could too, but it's going to be tight. It might even have to go into extra time and pens to get through Costa Rica.
They could lose to Costa Rica too. I just think that they go by. They go by Costa Rica. I watched them in those two games, and if you're asking me just to do the eyeball test from those two games, I still don't think, Charlie, the reason I don't think we get past Mexico or Canada, we don't create enough chances.
Right.
This team is not creating enough chances for me.
Can I ask you a question then? What does that say about where we are as a nation if we are losing in the semifinals of the Gold Cup a year out from the World Cup?
Well, it's hard to judge with this group. I mean,
we're only missing 5-6 players. I know they're big players, but
so we're missing half the team, right?
Starters. Yeah.
I mean, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of the show. I come to the CONCACAF Gold Cup all the time thinking we should win the tournament. And if we don't, for me, I look at it and go, we didn't succeed. It's a failure in this competition. We've done this before with a lesser team than this, in my opinion, a couple of competitions ago, and we won it. So, yeah. Although the other teams were I think if you're like Canada right now and you don't win this tournament, it's a real failure for you right now, right? With your healthiest available group that you have right now. And
outside of Alphonso Davies,
well, that's what I'm saying. Healthiest group that you can put on the field. Everybody's going to have injuries, Charlie, no matter what. Doesn't matter what competition you're in. There's nobody that comes through this without injuries. By the way, Eustaquio's not starting in this team anymore, in this Canadian team. Bombito will be a starter, but Eustaquio's not starting in this group anymore. But you're telling me that if Canada doesn't win this tournament, that there's anything good for them coming out of it. No, if we were with our strongest team, there'd be one mission and one mission only. I wish we were. We're just not. But I just don't think this group creates enough chances.
They don't, because
in
there's no
general.
1v1 players. Okay,
Yeah.
Christian beats players 1v1. Tim Weah beats players 1v1. Yeah, Anthony Robinson, he might not beat you 1v1. He'll try, but he definitely will get in behind and then force you out of position, which then he uses his pace extremely well. Yunus Musa can beat you one-on-one. Balogun can beat you one-on-one, although that's not his strength, but he's not afraid to take you one-on-one, maybe then pass a move or create an inch for a shot. But yeah, we're missing a lot of our players to take advantage of those opportunities. So given that, it'll be an interesting way to see how this tournament pans out. I'm probably most concerned about the goalkeeper position, Tony. We're talking about players not here, not available. We have all the players, goalkeepers that we possibly could have, and it's still shaky as hell. So
yeah.
That's that. But
No doubt.
everybody on YouTube, everybody on the Galazzo Network, thanks for following along. This is the live watch along show. The U.S. finished the group stage phase undefeated, 3 matches, 3 wins. They just beat Haiti 2-1 tonight. Appreciate you all tuning in. Be ready for the knockout round. We'll be back.